Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the USA Volleyball Show. Steven, man, how you been? I feel like it's been a minute, but it hasn't been, but it has been, but it actually has been. We're matching shirts. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, it has been a minute. Especially doing podcast stuff with you. It's been a little while, but good to be back with you and in the co-host chair. And we're wearing matching shirts because we're both in Dallas, but in separate rooms.
I know.
We should have planned it better, where we packed some more equipment to record in the same room. But
well, I was going to say, why don't we just meet in the same room, anyways?
Well, we would have had a whole nother setup, and we needed more equipment for that, and
we'd have brought a backdrop in and all the good.
We didn't quite plan ahead too far ahead of that, but no, it's great to be back podcasting with you, and great to be in Dallas as well with the girls junior nationals 11s 13s championship going on right now, and just yesterday we had the 10s and 11s finals, both incredible matches. Both teams on both sides were so good too. I was just shocked at such a young age, especially with the 10s. This is the first year we've had 10s at our national championships. So yeah, congratulations to One United for winning the inaugural 10 Patriot Division Championship, and then Mad Frog Volleyball as well, winning the 11 national championship. But those are fun matches, and they were packed too. Standing room only for both matches. All the clubs from the same club and all the other clubs were there just cheering on everybody. It was just so fun, and the parents were into it, and yeah, it was a great atmosphere. You missed a good one.
I was gonna say, do you remember a couple years ago when we had the first 11s finals, and
yeah, that
was packed in standing room only. So it's really good to see that the same, if not bigger, turnout showed up for the 10s and the 11s. And like you said, I unfortunately wasn't able to see it live and in person this year. But we got plenty of finals this year to definitely make up for that too. But it's just insane how good they are, how fundamentally sound, the 10s and 11s are. And it just does wonders for, what this growth of volleyball is, and what it's kind of shown and what it progresses to all the time too. So shout out to both the teams that you mentioned, winning the 10s and the 11s finals there too. And man, it's good to be a part of volleyball,
Yeah. We talk a lot about, the growth of volleyball in this episode, and where it's going, where it's been, and then, how far it's come. Yeah, just like you said, a testament to those programs for developing those athletes, and definitely exciting to see that 10s division continue to grow. And, I feel like maybe a couple of years down the road, we'll be like, remember the first 10s championship? Yeah, we'll have a 9s championship, an 8s championship, maybe.
I was about to make that joke. That's so funny. Oh, man. Well, speaking of jokes, I was going to say it's so great to be in Dallas, championship, NBA. Oh, sorry, wrong city. Shout out to
oh my gosh.
Shout out to the Boston Celtics there. Aren't you glad to make that bet?
I thought I was going to skate by a little bit with that one, but man, I was hoping they'd get one more win, hoping the Mavs got one more win so I could be in Dallas for their game 6, I think it was. But yeah,
we would have all missed work for that one.
Yeah. Congratulations to your Celtics. They played a great series, and that defense is a little too much for us, but we'll be back. Mavs will be back.
Where were you from here?
Well, I guess, let's jump back into volleyball. But before we get to this episode, the guest that we have on today, go back and watch our last episode 94, featuring volleyball broadcaster Emily Eamon. We chat about her career in journalism, the U.S. women's national team Olympic roster. She gives some great insight on what she's been seeing at VNL on that roster, and with the other teams competing too from other countries. Gives some great advice to aspiring sports journalists, and so much more in episode 94, available now on all podcast platforms and our video episodes on the USA Volleyball website and YouTube channel. Now, it's been a while since I've said this. It's time with the news with Hughes.
Great job there, by the way. All right, buckle up because we got a lot of news. You strap it in. Don't know what kind of seatbelt I got, but we're doing it. All right. The U.S. men's national team finished VNL play this past weekend, going 2-2 in the final week. They did not qualify for the final round and now return home to continue Olympic preparations. The U.S. women's team lost to Italy in the quarterfinals of the VNL final round. And they are also, they are back in Anaheim, and they will be preparing for the Olympics as well. And for the series of friendly matches against the Netherlands, July 10th, 12th, and the 14th. U.S. women's sitting national team went 6-0 to win gold at the World Paravolley Super 6 tournament. Heather Erickson was tournament MVP. Katie Briggs was the best blocker. Kaleo Kanahili McClay was best setter. And Bethany Zumo was best libero. The women and men's sitting teams play next at the Dutch tournament in the Netherlands, July 5th through the 7th. The U.S. men's U21 national team won gold at the Norseka Continental Championship last week. Sterling Foley was named tournament MVP and first best spiker, and Jackson Christ was first best blocker. The gold medal was the first for the U21 team at this event since 2016. Wasn't 2016 such a good year? Just kind of going back on that one. Anyways.
Rio, yeah. Great time in volleyball then too, yeah.
Great time in sports, but we'll jump back on that a little bit later. All right. 20 athletes were selected for the men's collegiate national team. They are training all weekend in Anaheim and will be followed by the women's collegiate national team June 30th through July 6th. Wow. That overlaps right when we're in Vegas for 14th through 17th nationals, man. A lot of stuff happening, a lot of overlap. Volleypalooza, what we like to call it. 14 collegiate athletes are currently competing at the Norseka Women's Final 6th Pan American Cup. Visit our website for the roster and a link to the results and a live stream. 12 athletes are also competing now at the Norseka Women's U21 Continental Championship. Again, our website has all the details if you want to learn more and watch the event. USA Volleyball has launched Try Volleyball, a nationwide program designed to introduce kids to the sport of volleyball for the first time at a fun rate, free clinics in their communities, and just a really, really, really good effort to introduce volleyball just across the country. I cannot wait for this to really unravel and really develop and us to be able to see what it looks like across the country. I'm even looking at trying to host a few of these at the high school that I coach at over at Banning Lewis Preparatory Academy in Colorado Springs too. So I'm very, very, very excited for this one. But visit our website for more details and how to host an event. Congratulations to all of the participants at last weekend's Girls 11s through 13s Junior National Championship. What an amazing event here in Dallas. Finally, last week was a big event on the beach with Beach Collegiate National Team training, the Beach U19 National Team trials, and the Norseka Beach Trials. Congratulations to women's gold medalists Sally Perez and Sarah Wood, and men's gold medalists Blake Goodwin and Grant Lamoro. The winners will have the opportunity to compete at the Beach U19 World Championship this year. Follow along all the action on USA Volleyball social medias, and for more on all of the latest news, you guessed it, visit usavolleyball.org. So you guys are buckling in. That was a lot of news.
That was a lot of news. Great job. Great job.
That was a lot of news. Now, Steve Vine.
I
coming up for this stuff.
When you said Volleypalooza, the SpongeBob meme with the, I think it was imagination with the rainbow. I think we need to like edit the meme to say Volleypalooza there. That would be great. But
Instead of like the rainbow, it's like it's a volleyball net. Just go look.
Oh, that's good, man. You just took it a whole nother level.
Bam.
Nice.
Elevate.
Elevate. That was great. Well, you ended there with beach and staying on the beach. Speaking of beach, there's a lot going on, and you mentioned a lot just there too, but a lot going on with both the beach national team and the beach development national team. And we've got the inside scoop. We are joined by USA Volleyball's beach development national team head coach, Scott Davenport. Scott has been an indoor and beach player and has coached numerous top beach teams. Last year, he took the reins of our development beach program, also called the A2 program. He shares about the progress that he's made with the new beach athletes and gives us a little sneak peek into the Olympic beach tournament as well and the pairs that will be competing there. So enough from us. Let's jump right in. Here's Scott. Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and joining us on the podcast here. We talked a little bit before we started recording, but we were supposed to have you on back in December at ABCA. You ended up having to leave the event early and timing didn't work out, but we're glad to have you back now. We're excited to talk to you. Thank you for joining us. How have you been since ABCA?
Good, busy, real busy. Thanks for having me. Just started the position in September, kind of got my feet wet up until when we started at the ABCA, and then we kind of put our head down and been going pretty hard since January. So learning a lot, but getting familiar with the new position and kind of like trying to figure out the structure of how we want to perfect it moving forward.
Yeah, since you brought it up, let's dive into it really quick here. Could you talk a little bit about your position, what you do, since taking over the beach development program?
Yeah, so we bridge the gap between NCAA players, predominantly the females, because that's kind of where the system is in place. But on the guys side, there's some men's programs as well, and we take any players that want to play beach from the indoor side as well, professional, that want to convert over to professional beach athletes and maybe go the Olympic route. So we're kind of bridging that gap where they're coming out as amateurs / indoor professionals, and they're trying to learn how to be professionals on the beach in kind of the pathway to the Olympics.
What like interested you about the position? What made you want to, kind of put your name in the hat for consideration?
Yeah, I was in for it in the first round, didn't get it in the second round. Luckily I got it. Not traveling around the world for weeks and months at a time was nice. Get away from my kids. It's hard. No, that's jokingly, but seriously, I like the challenge of developing athletes. That's just, to me, it intrigues me about coaching. It's not necessarily about winning and, winning medals and all that fun stuff, but, I just really like to see the athletes improve and maximize, their abilities.
I feel that the traveling part of it. I have a 10-month-old back home, and it's hard leaving the family behind, and then got Paris coming up too, and we'll be gone for 3 weeks then. But it's tough. So I hear you. Not joking at all. That is tough.
It's hard.
Yeah. What you just mentioned, you touched on just you enjoy developing the athletes. What kind of approaches are you using? From the coaching side now to like really developing these young athletes.
Yeah. So like I was saying before, it's like learning what we didn't know, like I know how to develop a team of two, multiple teams of two at the same time, which I was doing before with national teams. And it's a little different dynamic working with larger groups. It's new territory for me. The interesting part about it is like, I'm learning what I don't know, meaning to take a group of, and I think we have too many at the time, we're going to probably whittle it down. We have like 10 in each gender, to try to give them individual attention to develop them as individual players. But then we're finding that some of them are pairing up as teams inside the group, and therefore they need more attention as a team versus individuals. So there's this weird dynamic going on where it's like, okay, we have 3 or 4 teams that have developed inside of the group, and they need attention as a team to develop, their systems and fine tuning what they need, their team dynamics, their culture, all that fun stuff. And it's like, they're at a different point than some of the other players who haven't created a team inside the group. So it's really challenging for us trying to figure out how do we structure it best given we only have 2 coaches, in the program, to kind of make it work for everybody, where some of the players are developing faster than the other ones and some of them aren't. So it's kind of a unique dynamic, but we've been trying to figure that piece out. But for me, just what I normally do with my players is functional skill training. We emphasize mindfulness during competitive play. We're process for outcome approach. We teach them scouting strategies, self-evaluation strategies, and we like to integrate sports psychology right out of the gate with them for the self and for the team. And those are some of the strategies kind of we use, to develop our athletes.
And are all those strategies things that you kind of brought over from your previous coaching roles, from coaching, individual pairs and individual teams, or is some of that new to some of the new territory that you've kind of been around with these bigger groups?
Yeah, I mean, again, I know what I know, so I'm trying to implement that with these groups. And it's a larger group, so it's a little different. But yeah, those are the strategies that I've used historically with my teams. It's worked for me, so I'm going to keep doing it. I'm open to new things. So, if I come across something that has worked for somebody else as well, I'll try to implement those things as well. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's a 2-person game, so we have to try to develop them in those, in that kind of function as best we can.
How do you feel about the progress that you've made so far in these first few months in your role?
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job. Get the number and see what the totals are. We've had a number of players, like I said, develop into teams, and those teams have gone out internationally and competed. And we've done pretty good. I think we've got about 14 medals internationally so far within the confines of maybe like 4 or 5 teams that have developed. We've also qualified 5 teams for the challenger level events and got a couple top 10 finishes out of it. And one of the teams actually in one of the qualifiers beat the previous bronze medalist female from 2020, I guess it is, but 2021 Tokyo. So we're having some good results. We're liking where they're heading, the direction they're going in. We'd like to pair up some more players if we could and kind of develop them and see where they're going to go. We'll get a better idea of where everybody is at the end of the year, because there's some end of the year tournaments where they're going to compete, and hopefully they'll do well in those better than they've done in these other ones, because we've got another few months to kind of get them there. But I mean, I like where everybody's heading. And again, to me, it's like unique because we're not moving everybody along at the same time. So it's interesting to see. We've got a couple players that transferred over from indoor that took some time away, and they're completely new to the beach. And we're looking at them as like, I don't like to use the term project, but essentially it's like more of a long-term, development, and they're moving along pretty quickly. So it's like, it's interesting to see how fast and everybody moves along and how it's at different speeds. So yeah, we're happy with everybody's progress. It's a long answer, but we're really happy.
Yeah. I was going to go ahead, Steven.
Really quick, I just want to follow up on that one, because you mentioned, the athletes that transferred from indoor to beach, and we've talked about that with other athletes, Alex Klein and April Ross, about their transitions. But from your perspective, from your eye, the coaching eye, the development eye, what are the challenges for an athlete who's transferring from indoor to the sand?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's really the nuances of the game. There's a lot of differences. I mean, when I was working with Sarah Pavin from Canada, she was a full indoor athlete, came over with 0 beach experience, and she's like, this is a completely different game. I'm like, yeah, it's different. There's a lot of similarities, depending upon how your style of coaching on the beach. But yeah, it's a totally different game. And them trying to understand those nuances, and like, I have to see things versus just being role delineated. I have to be completely proficient in all the skills, not just 1 or 2 of the skills. You can't hide me out there. If I have a weakness, we can't hide that weakness. Everything's exploited. Taking out all the responsibility throughout the course of a match sometimes is something new to them. But, the athletes that come out and try beach or are somewhat familiar say, I want to give this a go. I think most of them understand the differences, and they're willing to accept those things and take them head on. At least the ones we're working with, we're fortunate that, they're not like shying away from those challenges, and they're really interested in learning.
I was going to kind of ask to maybe add on to that a little bit from this question, which you answered a little bit earlier. Do you have any maybe long-term goals that you have for, everyone's overall progress, or, what you want for the program about maybe, let's just say, a year from now?
I mean, ideally, we'd be able to say, here's the time frame we have you for, and then we move you into the next phase with your own coach. And again, like I said, we're learning that right now, and everybody's different. But yeah, long term, we'd like to get it systematically set up where, and the players don't want me to say this out loud, but more traditional, similar to like indoor, where it's more of a centralized, like NCAA. You have the players in your program, and you can choose who they play with, not 100%, but decide, I think this is a good fit. Let's try this team, and then really drill down on working with them as teams. Long term, it'd be nice to do that. Right now, that's a big challenge for us when we don't have the pairings in the group. Is okay, you have to go, because domestically they want to compete as well. So like, okay, you're playing with this person domestically, they're not in our group, we're focused on international. How do we balance that for you? Because domestically, we still need you to go out and compete and do well, because that's quote unquote your livelihood. So there's an interesting balancing act. We'd like to get it to the point where we could just control the whole thing. I don't know if that's realistic, because we don't necessarily pay them as if the indoor team does, and we can just employ them and tell them what to do. But that would be long term where we'd like to see it, similar to like NCAA, and the players coming out of college are used to that, and they seem more open, to that kind of style of the program. So we'll see. I mean, it's a long ways out probably, because the current players, there's no way they would agree to that. Which I wouldn't when I was playing either, so that's fair.
Right. Last couple of weeks have been very busy. I mean, you would say last few months have been very busy for you, but speaking specifically about the last couple of weeks, the events that are going on: Beach Collegiate Training, Beach U19 Training, Norseca Trials, U19 Trials. Could you speak a little bit about those events, maybe each one specifically, and the differences between them, and then, just how successful they were from your perspective?
Yeah, the U19 training block, and then the trials, I didn't get a chance to see much of that because they were going on kind of the same time we were. But from my understanding, it was a really, really good experience for the kids. They had a lot of talent there, which was good to see. And young talent too. I mean, I saw some of the results on the girls' side and the guys' side, and some of the names look familiar. Obviously, they're all going Division I, playing at a high level. So, that's exciting for the girls, but also the boys. I mean, just to see some of the talent at that young age, it's really exciting. And hopefully, the retention for Beach will be there from the guys' side, because that's kind of where we need it. And then for the Beach College national team, I was able to go to a few trainings, outside of our practices, and I was just blown away at the level, that the girls, obviously, because they have the pipeline, they're developing them in their programs, and they're competing in the NCAA, so they have that established. But their level, I was like, hey, can I take that girl next year? And they're like, no, she's got 2 more years of eligibility. I was like, what?
Wow.
I mean, we could take her now, and like she could go and compete against some of these teams, that they were at that level. And then the guys, I didn't know what to expect, because I hadn't, seen collegiate beach men players really much, because of the international, you don't really get to see them much. And I walked into the practices, and I was like, wow, you guys are all good, pretty dang good, considering you don't have a lot of experience. And most of them were doing both indoor and beach part-time just in the summer. So it was impressive and exciting. And hopefully, again, we can get a lot of the guys to continue to retain. I know they have the indoor opportunities and contracts and all that fun stuff, but hopefully we can convince them to stay more beach, because we definitely need to grow the men's side for sure. But both programs, I thought the coaching staffs did a fantastic job developing them from day one to where they finished. And then, super competitive in the tournament. I believe in the women's side for the collegiate, they finished 1, 2, and 4, I believe it was. No, 1, 2, yeah, third, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they got 1, 2, 3. So they swept it. They did a good job. And the guys were super competitive as well.
As far as the guys side of things goes, I have a quick question there. Do you happen to know if it was a lot of their, kind of first time experiencing something like the trials?
Yeah, a handful of them were first timers, and I think and the rest of them had been there a few times, but are not playing sole beach. There's only a couple that play just complete beach. There's not a lot of programs. So to me, I was jumping ahead of the conversation, but if we could eventually long term build out the men's beach programs like the women have, that'd be fantastic for our sport for sure.
What sort of efforts are you making, or the program making to kind of grow the men's side? Like you said, there's not a lot of beach collegiate opportunities, maybe none. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at the college level for men. But what sort of strategies are you using to attract more men's collegiate players into the game and help strengthen that program?
Yeah, it's a good question. For us, we're not really at the forefront of that role. We're kind of at the next level where we're and again, I don't want to say this wrong, but cherry picking national team players who maybe aren't going to make the roster, who maybe still want to go to the Olympics, and maybe that's not the route they are able to do it with. We're trying to cherry pick some of those guys, and then hope that they continue to develop NCAA programs, from the grassroots foundations. And then Sean Sproul is doing a great job. I forget the name of his foundation that, they're running, but they're doing a great job infusing
First Point.
First Point, trying to develop more men's programs in general, but also focusing a little bit on the beach and trying to help out there. So, we're just trying to do what we can to convince those indoor players that this is a lot more fun and a lot better on your body. And hopefully they'll, jump our way. But everybody else, is doing a really good job, on that push for men's beach.
Gotcha. I'm curious, and it's probably just a quick no, but have you looked at any other like sports? I know on the women's indoor side, we've had handball come out to tryouts in the past and talk to athletes there. But have you looked at any, across different sports to attract more players to help the program?
I haven't yet, but it's a good idea. Should probably look into that. I'll talk to Peter Vinton and see what we can come up with.
Yeah. I've seen it strangely. I don't know if it's strange, but I guess first time I've been coming across it too. A lot of our, not a lot, but like about 4 to 5 club players that I've coached across the 2 years that I've been coaching, they've elected to get into rowing in college too. So they shifted over to completely from volleyball into rowing too. So it's interesting, right? Like just
interesting
correlation there. Don't really know. I don't know if it's like a program thing or
could be a posterior muscle work, right?
Something. I don't know.
They've got the street. Mm-hmm. No, we haven't looked at doing that with any other sports, but that's an interesting idea. I have to think through that.
Steven, you're hired. Get on it. I'm
just telling you what I've seen. Just telling you what I've seen. I don't know any about it.
You get the extra staff members. We'll send them out there and recruit.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I guess, thank you for sharing about your role and talking a little bit about that. Before we move into your personal volleyball career, is there anything else you'd like to talk about or share about your role specifically?
I think we covered just about all of it. I mean, I'm just looking forward to, like I said, learning how to make this program the best structure we can make it the most efficient, develop our athletes at a high rate of speed. I think over the last 6 months, we've gotten better at it. And hopefully over the next 6 months, we'll refine it, because I'd like to just be able to bring those players out of college and plug them right into something. And maybe, the summer of the following year, they can just roll into international competition. So, that's the end goal. And, everybody at the beach department is doing a great job of supporting us. And hopefully, we can continue moving in the right direction.
Definitely an exciting opportunity that you have there with the beach development program, and an exciting time in volleyball in general, just with, both on the indoor and beach side. And we got the Olympics and Paralympics this summer, and the growth of women's beach is just skyrocketing and growing so fast. And hopefully we see that continue over and onto the men's side too. We got 4 new Olympians on the men's side going to Paris, so that's exciting.
We do.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, it's going to be fun. But let's dive into your background a little bit. How were you first introduced to volleyball?
Probably the most unconventional way.
And you'd be surprised with what we hear.
Yeah, right. I'm sure. I was about 20 years old. I happened to be attending a community college. I randomly was walking by the gym one day, and I saw a sign posted for open tryouts, for volleyball tryouts. And I'm like, I don't know, what's this? Looked in, kind of saw what they were doing. I walked in to the coach at the time, who's now a friend of mine. And I was like, what is this? And I had played multiple sports. I just never was exposed to volleyball before. And oh, you do this. I'm like, okay, go in there and jump and hit that ball over there. I was like, okay. I had a pretty good vertical at the time, was transitioning from powerlifting to other sports. And so I jumped up and crushed it. And he's like, oh, you're on the team. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, that's okay. We'll figure it out.
We'll get there.
Yeah. I was like, okay. So I got into it that way. And, that coach and some of the players on the team they also played beach. I'm from Rochester, New York. So there's a place that we can, Hot Shots, it's called. It was an indoor beach facility. It snowed all the time back there. And they were kind of doing both beach. So I got exposed to both of them at the same time to kind of learn both games. And that was kind of my exposure. I had no idea what it was, what to do, but it looked fun and dynamic. And, I kind of started learning from there. What's the craziest one you've heard?
Man, we've heard some good ones. The first one that jumps out to me is Emma Sheik from the sitting women's side. She was, I think her mom made her, or maybe friends made her go to a cheerleading tryout. And so she was in the next gym over from the volleyball tryout. And she ended up just kind of opening the door and sneaking into the volleyball tryout. And that's kind of how she was introduced to volleyball. Yes, was running away from the cheerleading tryout that she didn't want to go to.
Right? Good for her.
Yeah. Well, it's worked out for her too.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. But you had something there that you mentioned you were powerlifting. You were powerlifting at a good vertical. What went in and crushed a ball was your first experience there with volleyball? Was that kind of your hook? Was just the physicality of it and being able to just spike balls down as hard as you can, or what kind of hooked you into the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a big contact sport person. I played football and different contact sports, and that wasn't something that lured me in. So I think that the ability to create contact by not having contact was kind of interesting. Still be powerful, dynamic, and not get hit by 4 or 5 guys at once because you're getting hammered on a football field by linebackers. So that was the appeal initially. And then as I started learning the game and getting more into it, I was trained as a setter, an outside hitter and opposite. But to me, the setter role was really intriguing because the strategy of the game and running the offense and making decisions, and understanding the strategies and how to essentially pick apart defenses, make the right choices, who to get the ball to, why to get the ball there. Those kind of things really, the chess match became more the interesting part of the game because I had a background in tennis too. So it's a bit of a merge between the two. So yeah, that was the interesting part as I started learning it more.
That's interesting about that merge between the two. I coach a boys team up in Littleton, Colorado called the Edge. And one of the members on our 18th team, he plays tennis as well. And you can see the dynamics that he kind of adds, like the way he'll serve the ball or certain swings on certain angles. And I didn't really think about that until you brought that up now, but that's a very interesting kind of late to definitely compare a game that makes your game very, very stand out and very unique.
Yeah. And then the angles of it all kind of are similar. And then how the strategy, it's a little bit different, obviously, but times you're setting up the opponent for something, volleyball, it's a little bit more fluid, but not quite as much of a setup, but definitely a strategy. That's kind of like, I think why I continued to get into it from a coaching standpoint was that stimulated me, that learning process and that challenge of like, oh, you guys are doing something new, something different. That's how do we stop this? How do we get ahead of you? How do we make adjustments to our game to improve? It's like that's the fun part of it for me as a coach too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we have a ton of coaching questions lined up for you too. So before we kind of dive into those, just want to kind of talk about, your playing career a little bit more. You played collegiate volleyball at Purdue Fort Wayne. and represented the U.S. men's national team at the '99 Pan American Games. But you continued to play beach. I mean, you mentioned the indoor facility, being from the East Coast. What kept you hooked on the beach side of the game?
So I didn't play for the men's national team. I was never that good. I went to the Pan Am Games for the beach. So it was the inaugural beach games for the Pan Am Games. And I probably wasn't the first choice. It happened to be a trickle down bid. So I think we took like 9th at the event, and then nobody else wanted to go because there was no money in it or whatever. But, I mean, to me, indoor game was fantastic, and I was able to play, at the collegiate level. We got to play in the Final Four. That was an amazing experience. Got to work with Arnie Ball, phenomenal coach. Got to play with Loy for a year, and he was amazing. Learned so much about it, but it was too physically demanding for a 6'1" guy. And guys are monsters out there. So physically it just beat me up, and I couldn't do it. So I was doing both, always playing beach and indoor at the same time. So for me, it was just like an easy transition to still play the game you love, but it was better on your body, and you still got all the attributes. And it was more challenging because you got to participate more in every play, every touch, so that kind of drew me to it. That's kind of what did.
You mentioned earlier that, setting was kind of what hooked you into the sport, and just the kind of mental side of it, the strategy of it. And then you played with Loy Ball, one of the best setters to ever play the game. What was that like playing with Loy, and you just kind of getting to learn from him, pick his brain a little bit about the sport and about setting too, specifically?
Yeah, wish I could have picked his brain more. I was training to kind of be his replacement, but it didn't work out, obviously, because I got too broken physically. But just learning from Arnie and learning just how to prepare, to beat teams, the amount of data that went into it, they did so much research. Now it's different. Obviously, there's programs you can just pull them up and charts and all that stuff. Back then, we had a guy doing it by hand, and he was a mathematician, and he was just crushing numbers and crushing all the stats, and gave us these like manuals for each team. And it was a lot to learn, but I was like, man, there's really a level of professionalism, preparation in this, and this is really interesting to me to get into those details. Beach is a little bit different, at least what I learned, kind of how to play and then how to like prepare. It was totally different back then. We didn't have cameras out there recording matches. Like, we had to remember, or we had to write stuff down that we remembered from practices and from tournaments, so there was that was an interesting dynamic and learning curve, with that piece of it as well.
Coming from the East Coast, and playing beach there, and then eventually coming out West and playing with the West Coast, what was that like? What was that transition like? Were you just like, what was the level, I guess, difference, or was there a level difference, East to West Coast?
Massive difference back then. Massive difference. I mean, you're seeing a little bit of a gap close somewhat nowadays, just because, definitely the women's side, because there's so much, participation. But yeah, back then there wasn't a lot going on the East Coast. There was a Molson Golden Tour that was happening. They had some good teams out there, but some of the West Coast teams would come out and play in that because there's some decent money. But across the board, California was where it was at. That was the hotbed, and that was everybody was playing. So I made the move back in '96, in February of '96, and I did it because I think it was Adam Johnson, Dodd, Hovland, and I forget who else came out of it. I remember came out, did like an exhibition, and we played against them, and that was kind of, we got our butts kicked, obviously, but it was fun, and we're just rapping with everybody afterwards, and we're like, hey, if I wanted to give this a go, do you think it's possible? And they're like, well, you can't do it here. You got to move to California if you want to get the shot. I was like, okay, well, let's see if I can save some money and get that a shot. So yeah, I made the move, and it was, massive difference. I was fortunate. I met a guy, Todd Amati, who was playing on the qualifier tour at the time. And I kind of picked his brain, and he was like, where should I go? Where should I move? Where's the best place? Where's everybody playing? How am I going to get better faster? And he's like, you could move up to the South Bay, where there's a ton of people playing. He's like, we're in Orange County, we're in San Clemente, Karch is down there, Kent's down there, Adams down there. It's a different culture. It's a different vibe. It's not go just play workup games all the time. You could do some workup courts, but you're going and dedicating just to practice things, getting better and doing drills and stuff. And I was like, well, cards, that sounds like where I want to go, where cards. Like, that's probably a good idea. So yeah, I made the move out to San Clemente, and the rest is kind of history.
And go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong on the dates here, but you had the opportunity to play on the AVP tour from about 96 to 2009.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
It was full time from 96 to probably, say, roughly 2006, 2008. And then a couple tournaments sprinkled in here and there after that.
Actually.
But yeah, it was a fun experience. I went through all the iterations of the AVP.
What are some of those, I guess, more either your favorite or the more memorable ones? That could be, more of just a life experience. Just what are some of those fun memories that come up from the tour?
No, I mean, just playing all the events, being, part of that was fantastic. To me, probably just, it'd be the equivalent to some younger players now saying, I got to play against Phil and Todd. I got to play against, Rosie and Jake. To me, it was like, I got to play against Karch and Kent and Adam, the legends of the game, the guys that, spearheaded Hovland out. It's like, just being able to do that was, in itself amazing. No matter how I didn't have a career. I played the game, luckily at a high level for a while. So to me, it was just being able to go against those guys and see how you measured up. Was not being someone who came from a background of volleyball, but just, from a background of sports and learning a game that was new, that experience getting on the court with legends of the game, great players, just, priceless.
You mentioned that, you say you didn't have a career, you were playing the game, but, I would say you had a great career playing beach volleyball, but, and you were in the boom, you were right there in the boom on the West Coast of beach volleyball. Just reflecting on that, what was that experience like, just being around all those, you mentioned, you name dropped so many legends there, but, just being around those guys and being around those beaches, in the beach volleyball boom?
Yeah. When I came in, the peak of it just ended. That was the first bankruptcy happened. So we unfortunately didn't get into the financial end of it like those guys all did. But, yeah, just being, around that experience was amazing, and just learning, the culture and seeing how it all functioned. It's a community inside of the larger community. It's, it's
right.
Everybody's super friendly and supportive, and, that whole experience has been fantastic.
And just, curious, I've heard some stories from other athletes, but just, the grind that it takes to play beach volleyball too. And, there's not a lot of money, there's money if you're winning, you're successful, but not a lot of money elsewhere. What was that grind like when you first moved to the East Coast? Were you crashing on couches, living the van life, living in vans? But what was that like? What was the grind like, with beach volleyball?
Yeah. It wasn't too challenging initially because I'd saved up some money to kind of support myself moving out. Then I fortunately landed a job right away as a personal trainer. So I was able to, make some decent money at Newport Beach with some clients. And then that changed obviously as I moved away from there and came up to the South Bay. But it's, it's not easy, but it's like anything, right? It's a part-time job with full-time responsibilities and part-time pay. But, that's kind of what coaching became. It became the assistant's job to make decent money, work off hours, and still be able to compete at a high level, as high as level as you could, working two jobs essentially. But the grind's not easy, but it's like anything, right? Like if you ask Elon Musk, like, hey, how was the grind for you? It probably sucked. You're sleeping on the floor of your factory, but now look what you've accomplished because of it. It's worth it in the end. Yeah. And you do something for a passion. You're not going to look at it and go, it's too much of a grind if you love doing it, right?
Mm-hmm. Talk about wearing many hats there. I was kind of continue that conversation going because I think, while you were playing, on the AVP tour, you were also coaching. And then if you want to talk about the club you're at, and then kind of how that transitioned into, which is funny. My alma mater, Dominican Sills, Cal State Dominican Sills there too. So we're going to talk about those.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I started coaching club just randomly down in Orange County, and then we started our own club down there out of the facility, Saddleback facility, and he was fortunate enough to just razz the court, and we started doing our own thing because we figured you make more money on your own than you would working for somebody else. Then moved up to LA, started working at Peninsula High School, coaching programs there. Ended up opening up our own club there as well to kind of support ourselves, and that was the best thing we could have done, to essentially work part time and make a decent amount of money. But yeah, then just continued to coach club, was reffing as well the club to make some extra money, and then it morphed over into going back to school to get my master's, and then the current coach at the time was like, "Hey, would you like to come coach?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll help out." Started helping out. That coach left. They offered me the job. I took it over and started working there at Dominguez. The women's program, was doing that while I was finishing my master's up. And then randomly a friend of mine who I used to compete with and against, he was like, "Hey, you want to come coach on the beach?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Started going out there a little bit, working with him. He saw some progress. Some other people saw he was getting better. And other people asked me, "Hey, could you help with me too?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Started doing that a little bit more. It was a lot more fun than working. No offense to Dominguez, it's a good school, it's a good program. It was just very labor intense with not a lot of resources. So coaching was probably 2% of what I did most of the time. Fundraising was the other 90% of what I did outside of recruiting, just to be able to recruit kids and bring them to Dominguez. So as I started doing more beach coaching and making pretty good money doing it at the time, I was like, why am I going into the office every day and killing myself and not coaching a lot? I just go coach, and be at the beach and still be a part of something that I love to do, and basically get the same intrinsic benefits I was getting from coaching indoors, which is developing athletes, just at different levels, professional levels. So it was actually more enticing to me. So yeah, it turned into it organically. It wasn't like hey, I'm just going to go do this. It just kind of morphed into it.
Well, you have a long list of just incredible names of beach athletes that have come through the U.S. beach programs. But is there any that have been favorites? Especially from your playing background too. Any favorites that you really enjoyed working with?
I love working with all of them. I could say there was any favorites. There are some that were more challenging than others.
Yep.
But I enjoyed every experience I had with all the athletes I've worked with. They're all unique, and it's great to work with and learn from them, learn with them, and kind of go through the different iterations of the game and how it's transformed into what it is now from what it used to be. It's so different. It's exciting and where it's headed. But yeah, I mean, I can't say I like favorites. There's a lot of favorites. I really enjoyed working with everybody. There wasn't anybody that I was like, God, I hated working with that person. So I guess that's a good thing, right?
That's good. Yeah. It's probably fun just working with so many different athletes too, and getting to dissect their game a little bit and figure out what works for each athlete too. It's almost like scouting your opponent. I feel like as you start to work with an athlete, you try to figure out what makes them tick. What works in their game and how to improve their game. Almost like like a chess match a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, learning them and getting to know what works for them and pushes their buttons to get them motivated and stuff was, it's always fun. That's what we do as coaches, I guess. If we can get good at that, we can help them get to be their best. But to me, it's really interesting to learn how each one of them sees the game. Because it's unique to most of them, and at the rate of speed that some of them see the game is just astonishing. Like Theo's worked with him recently, and he was a great example of a guy that just sees the game like this as it's happening and remembers like what was happening before, and historically what happened last time I played this guy or this team, and they did this and the ball went there. I was like, dude, that's amazing how fast you can see the game. I gotta watch video.
That's cool.
Yeah, so some of those experiences have been really fun.
So what would you say, and this is a personal favorite question, what I like to ask too, just coming from, you know, my development and coaching there too. What would you say your coaching philosophy is currently?
It's kind of a combination, I would say, of process driven and then a collaborative style. I'm all about learning how to do something the right way or as most efficient way we possibly can. And we try to teach those skill-based things and definitely lean the focus to what you can control versus, the process you can't control the outcome kind of thing. The sports psych that I've worked with historically, a friend of mine's really, really good, Dr. Lee Hancock. He would give the analogy to our players like, look, there's a perceived probability of, what the outcome's going to be. And we can skew that probability by thinking we can control what's going to happen by doing it right more often than not. And there's some element that's true to that. He's like, but in the end, once the ball leaves your body, it's still a 50-50 coin flip. You never know what's going to happen. So that's where the focus of the process for us always lean towards that. And then the collaborative piece of it is, as you guys know, it's like, I don't know everything. And my perspective isn't going to be always the right perspective. I see things a certain way, but, I always want to learn how the athlete sees things, the other athlete sees things as well. And, kind of build together it's not as structured, systematic as much on the beach as it is indoors, where it's like, this is our system, this is how we play, this is how we do things. You plug into it and that's the end of it. Out here, everybody takes their own unique, twist on things, and something works better for this person this way and the other person the other way. So, having a collaborative style on the beach, I think, is really important as well. To fine tune what works best for that particular athlete and their strengths and weaknesses.
Well, looking ahead, we touched on it earlier, just exciting time in volleyball, but we were about a month away, I think, from the Olympic Games in Paris. And, just from what you're doing, what you're working with the teams, what are you seeing? What are your thoughts on our top teams, our U.S. teams that are going to Paris, and then, some of the other countries who will be there too?
Yeah. on the women's side, it's super deep. There's so many good teams out there. It's crazy. But I really like our chances. Taryn and Kristen and Sarah and Kelly, both strong teams. They've both proven over this qualification period that they can go hit the podium, multiple times. They can beat anybody in the world, which is awesome. Taryn and Kristen just play such a consistent game. It's almost like error free. And that's really difficult to play against, especially in like an Olympic environment where there's a lot of pressures, internal and external, being put on it. So I like their chances to go to the podium. Sarah and Kelly, same thing. They did a great job proving world champs they can dominate at any given time. They just, Strava, they just took the gold there too, so they can prove, beating many of the top teams. So they're in the contention as well. On the guys' side, Miles and Andy have shown, obviously, they can hit the podium multiple times and beat some of the best teams in the world. So things go well for them, and, they don't let some of the pressures creep in. I think I like their chances at podium as well. And then Chase and Miles have been super hot as of late. They made a really good run to pushing the qualification. And, the guys' side, you just never know historically. If you look at the statistics on it, an 11 seed could win a gold medal, a 4 seed, a 1 seed, anybody on the men's side. So it's really who's going to be hot at that time, who's going to get the draw, who's going to take care of it, who's playing the best. So they have, pretty good chance too if things work out. They've been playing really, really well. So they seem to be hitting a good stride. And internationally, there's so many good teams. We could talk for hours about every one of them. Obviously, the Swedish guys were just ridiculous at what they're doing. And I think the only chance you have at beating them is if you play error free or it's really, really windy and they can't run their offense.
Yep.
We got to keep them on the ground, and you got a chance of beating them. Anders and Christian are just so talented and, so much experience. I think they're, and I don't know for sure, but I think they're hiding some tricks and they're going to pop them out at the Olympics, and no one's seen them yet. I'm waiting to see, but I think they're working on some stuff and nobody knows about it. But on the women's side, again, it's so deep. The Brazilians are good. German teams, Swiss teams, Americans as well. It's just, Canada's got, Mel and Brandy are just outstanding. The Dutch, it's like any of those teams catch fire, you never know, and matchups too become a big deal. So it'll be exciting. I think it's going to be really good games for everybody to watch, and hopefully everybody have both genders and support the beach.
Well, I think, it's probably safe to say that beach is going to get a lot of primetime attention, with, just being there on the Eiffel Tower at the foot of the Eiffel Tower. Definitely an awesome backdrop for that sport. And it's going to be really cool to see on TV. But, for fans coming in, new fans coming in, maybe fans from the indoor side, aren't necessarily familiar with beach, why should they be excited to watch beach volleyball at the Olympics? And, specifically our beach teams too, our U.S. beach teams.
Yeah, I mean, for people that aren't familiar with it or who haven't been watching it as it's transformed into kind of the game it is now, it's just so much more dynamic than it was before. There's fast tempo plays. There's, for the women's, there's more longer rallies. The guys are just so physical now. It's exciting to watch the speed of the game and how dynamic and diverse it's become. And the athletes are just getting bigger and stronger and, more physical. And that was the case at the elite level historically, but now it's almost like across the board. Every team, looks like that and they're doing those things. So it's exciting. I think from a new fan standpoint, just to see that athleticism and the speed of the game, because, in the past, I don't want to say the recent past, but the farther along past, it wasn't quite as dynamic. It was more traditional, slower sets, slower speed, pretty quick, plays over in 3 seconds, 5 seconds. But now there's just a lot more exciting things going on. So I would encourage everybody to take a peek at it if you haven't, watch some of the matches obviously for the U.S. We sure support our teams, but, any matches in general, if you can catch them, it's going to be fun to watch.
I think a good note to end on, especially on that one, kind of be tying things back a little bit to, kind of development and grassroots and how we can, keep trying to grow the game too. So I think in the beginning you mentioned how, the women's side of the beach continues to be, highly successful, and a lot of that's due to it being an NCAA sport. But kind of touching on the men's game a little bit, what are some of those keys, or a key or some keys to the growth of the game that you would like to kind of see, or do you think needs, on the men's side for it to really start to boom?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the indoor coaches don't want us to say this stuff, but I think playing beach game, if you're an indoor athlete for the men or women in general, I think if you come play the beach game, it's going to help your indoor game. You get more touches, you learn more skills, you're dependent upon yourself and another person. So there's that element of like responsibility, full responsibility, carrying load, more pressure, stuff like that. Like, it's just going to make you a better indoor player. It's somewhat of a lifelong sport. I know everybody preaches tennis is a lifelong sport, but beach is easy on your body. You're out in the sun, you're having fun. Hopefully you're by a body of water afterwards. You can go cool off. It's super social. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I would encourage guys to go out and just experience it. It's hard, obviously. It's not easy to move in the sand, but once you get past that piece of it, it's fantastic exercise and it's a really, really fun game to go experience. And you're going to if you're a pure indoor player, you go play beach, you're going to get better at indoor too. So it only helps you.
Yeah, the cross training there, your indoor game's going to improve. If you're playing beach, you get more reps. You're touching the ball more. And like you said, the setting doesn't hurt either. Just being on the beach and the sand and the warmth, the warm sun and the water there too. Like, for me, you can't beat that.
Yeah, never a bad thing.
Sounds like that's what sold you too. Beach coaching versus indoor coaching. So.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, inside of the, nothing against indoor, again, nothing against indoor, but inside the gym with a lot of whistles, a lot of screaming, it kind of becomes a bit numbing after a while. Where you're looking at the ocean's a little different.
Yep, I hear you there. I just I'm kind of dreading going back to the nationals that's going on right now at the convention center. To hear all those whistles, my ears are still ringing, and I'm only on day one, so here we go.
Yeah. It's still a lot of fun. It's very exciting too.
It is a lot of fun. Yeah, it's great volleyball, and I do enjoy it. But I hear you with the whistles. It's a lot. I'm gonna put my earplugs in.
we get to see dolphins at least once a week when we're at work. So
Oh, that's cool.
It is numbing. Might not be a healthy numbing, but after a certain point, you just, tune the whistles out. I got to probably get my hearing checked and
put your earpods
or so. But yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us, and so happy to have you on the podcast finally. But before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to share or talk about before we say bye here?
No, I think we covered everything. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and if we can do it again another time, I'd love to.
Is there any place where, people are interested in coaching or, just maybe, digging into your philosophy a little bit, anywhere there where they can kind of reach out to you and pick your brain a little bit?
I wish I had a really good Instagram account, but I'm too old for that stuff. You'd probably find me out there, but we're working on some things right now, with management, and hopefully we can create some more development opportunities for coaches in the next couple of years and build that pipeline out, because I think we need it for the beach. So keep an eye out for that. It's in the works, and hopefully we'll release it here pretty soon.
Cool. That's awesome. We'll keep an eye out for that. And Scott, thank you again so much. Looking forward to, seeing what you're doing with the beach program. And then, excited for Paris too, here in a month.
Yeah, it's going to be real exciting. Everybody go watch.
That's awesome. Go USA.
USA.
Thanks, Scott. We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Well, we got another fun, great introduction to volleyball that we can add to our list to remember. But yeah, from powerlifter and playing numerous other sports as well, to discovering volleyball, and then just walking into the gym and getting his first spike. And
I know
that's all it took.
That's all it usually takes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that was fun to hear that, and I always love, you just never know like how people find the sport, and everyone's different. Everyone has their own paths, like we've talked about before. But that was a fun one to hear from Scott.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's very cool. I mean, I would obviously be very biased here too. He used to coach at my college, which is really cool there. And
that's right.
Just kind of seeing from, what Dominguez Hills was then up until now, just the development is insane. I haven't really been following too much of the volleyball program, but that also has just seen a tremendous amount of growth there too. So it's really good to see that and see and hear that he's part of that, that history there. And even just kind of following along his kind of path into just coaching beach and just kind of figuring out, his coaching philosophy and how that's kind of developed over the years too. I geek out on that stuff, man. I just love it. If you're not a coach and excuse me, I was totally wrong. If you're a coach and you're not learning from other coaches, or you're not learning other philosophies, how other people develop and really fine tune athletes and connect with them, then you're doing something a little wrong when you take a step back and, really, really look in the mirror there too. But I mean, I think our program is in tremendous hands with Scott. I mean, just definitely so knowledgeable. I don't think he gives himself enough credit for like what he really does and how much he's really been a part of over these over the years, and it's just insane. It just really commend, tip my hat to him, and just can't wait to see what more comes out of the program for sure.
Yeah, I can see the coach in you. You sat up a little bit when you're talking to him. Yeah. No, great conversation with Scott, and really cool to hear him talk about one of our guests from a couple episodes ago, Theo, as well, and just that one like stuck out to him, that coaching that athlete, coaching Theo, and just how he sees the game. I could tell just by talking to Theo in that episode, just, how his brain kind of works and the gears move when he's on the court. So, that was cool little insight. And like you said, the program's in great hands with Scott, and, exciting to see, where the program goes too. He's only, a few months into that role. So there's a lot of progress already, but a lot more growth that program can leap to. So definitely an exciting time.
Like you say, you don't know what you don't know. So you got to know it,
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Scott, for taking the time to sit down with us. Awesome conversation, and looking forward to seeing you again down the road, maybe at an ABCA or at the Olympics as well. But or on the beach. Would love to kind of pick your brain a little bit on the beach too. Step into your office with the sunshine and the water in the background. Right, it does. It does, definitely. But yeah, let's move on over to upcoming events here.
All right. Today marks the first day numero uno of the Boys International Championship right here. You guessed it, in Dallas, Texas, once again. And next week is the final event of the indoor season, the Girls International Championship for the 14 through 17 age group in Las Vegas, Nevada, from July 3rd through July 11th. I'll actually be able to do a little bit of coaching right here in Dallas from our boys team.
That's right.
To the X16 National. 16 American PM Wave, so getting ready to
nice. Get to sleep in a little bit.
Gear up with them. I'll be working too, so it'll be.
Oh, that's true. You're doing double shift.
It's like a makeshift double shift. We'll see. But on the last day, I'll be announcing too, so you guys will hear some good music.
Oh my god,
some energy. Nice. Good little voice there. I don't know what court I'm going to be on, but just walk around and listen up too. But very excited to coach my team. It's a journey, first year coaching boys. I'm glad I get to end it at Boys International of all events for sure. So stay tuned there. And then shout out to Velocity 17 Black. I won't be coaching them in Vegas, but I will be around the court, kind of keeping an eye on them and being there for them how they need me to. And just glad they were able to earn that bid, first time in club history there. So I'm just want to give them a shout out. Awesome. And as they prepare for Vegas, we actually had practice yesterday, and I went from practice to the airport. So now we are. All right. Back on to events. On the beach side, we have the Heart of America Kingdom Beach National Qualifier. This is the last B&Q on our schedule until the Beach National Championship in July. Good luck to all those athletes and clubs that are competing. More details and all upcoming events can be found at usavolleyball.org. Oh, yes, it is definitely event season once again. I think we got some pro updates coming up, right? Steve?
That's right. I was just thinking in my head, you said you won't be coaching your Velocity team, but I was like, he won't be able to help himself. He's going to be on the court. He's going to be on the court. Well, moving on to the pro side of things, as we mentioned earlier, the men's and women's collegiate national teams are training in Anaheim, California this week and next week. The women's U21 NORCECA Continental Championship began June 25th and runs through Sunday. The women's NORCECA Pan American Cup Final Six also is running this week through Sunday. The Beach Pro Tour Futures June 26th through the 30th in Austria. We have the Beach Pro Tour Elite 16 in Stade, Switzerland. That's July 3rd through the 7th. The Beach Pro Tour Elite 16 in Austria as well, July 10th through the 14th. The Dutch Sitting Volleyball Tournament is July 5th through the 7th in the Netherlands. And finally, get your tickets to the USAV Cup July 10th, 12th, and 14th in your old stomping grounds, Long Beach, California, Clarence, with the U.S. women facing the Netherlands in 3 friendly matches. That's ahead of the Olympic Games. So that's kind of the final kickoff for the fans, or for the team, for the fans to send off USA in style and cheer them on as they kind of make their final preparations for the Olympic Games in Paris. So good luck to all those athletes competing in those events, and safe travels to everyone. Check out usavolleyball.org for all other national team news.
All right, hear me out. Get back from Vegas on what? July 12th? when is it back? July 14th. There's a direct flight out of Springs. I might see if I can go make it. I mean, it'd be really good to see
Do it.
competition at
It's a little detour.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'll probably be burned out by then. I don't even want to think about Vegas right now. It's going to be one event. But anyways, remember, listeners, you can rate, review, share this podcast with your friends, families, teammates, and everyone in between, as it really helps this podcast grow and reach new listeners every week as we drop episodes. And you can check out our video episodes on our website and YouTube. We thank you for all of your continued support these past few years, man. We can't do without you, especially as we inch closer and closer and closer to episode number 100. Stay tuned there. 5 more. Do you have a topic you want to hear about, or maybe you know of a club that should be featured? You can always email us at the usav@usav.org. Leave us feedback. Let us know how we're doing. And once again, about any other topics that you would like to hear about, take advantage of it. Remember, new episodes drop every other week. And until then, thank you for listening to another episode of the USA Volleyball Show. We are the official podcast of USA Volleyball.
This has been the USA Volleyball Show with Clarence Hughes and Stephen Munson. Produced by Curtis Ward. Our content producer is Laura Fawcett. Our marketing lead is Bree Jaycox. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to rate and review. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the USA Volleyball Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.